Hello, welcome back. Yes, we're back to making monsters. More monsters, never enough monsters. Making your own monsters using Shadowdark, which is really just a stripped down version of basic D&D and I would say 5e as well, very much. Has a lot of influences all over the place, but it's been fun. And creating stat blocks for Shadowdark is actually fairly simple, so we're going to be doing that today. I'm going to put up a poll. Feel free to take part in that poll if you want to. I really have to reiterate and say that, look, anybody can make a Shadowdark monster. It really is simpler than you might realise. So grab some food, some drink, get comfortable, and let's crank into this, eh? We'll get this done. Okay, nice. Hi, welcome to How to RPG. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about tabletop role-playing games, and I'm talking about Dungeons and Dragons. Now, it's not called Dungeons and Dragons because it's basically a clone. It's called Shadowdark. Shadowdark is a combination of older versions of D&D and 5e, and it comes out as a rather simple system, which is really flexible and actually very easy to make a monster for. And so that is what we're going to do. We're going to make the Giant Jungle Dart Snail. Now, this monster is actually a creation from Pickett. So he drew the artwork. You'll find that he's got I've got a link to his website, his YouTube channel down in the description. So he did the artwork. He designed the monster. He also made a stat block for it, based off what he understood in terms of the Shadowdark mechanics. And so I'm going to take that stat block and I'm going to break it down and just make sure that it's fitting and doing the things that he wants it to do. And if it is, we're all good. And if it's not, then we'll fix it. Now, why am I doing this? The reason is because myself and AJ Pickett are on a quest to make a monster compendium of Shadowdark monsters, original monsters that we'd like to put out and allow people to use. And it's a fun experience because we kind of get to do our own thing, which is exactly what we want. So that's what we're aiming for. Now, you'll find that there is a link to my Patreon, and there's a bunch of stuff you can get off Patreon that's free, but included in that is the ability to access a document I made recently. It's basically a table that is a sort of a shortcut to show you how to make your own monsters. Like if you want to make your own stuff, you can. That is very much what I'm about. Hello, Fred Huber. How are you? It appears similar to making an original D&D monster before the 1E hard book. Yeah, very much so. It's very close to that in many respects. But it also follows the same sort of mechanics. You're rolling high, not rolling low, and then rolling high, and then using percentile, and then using six-sided dice, and then using, you're not all over the place. So basic was a little bit like that. And I still play basic, but Shadowdark is a nice sort of in-between. So there's a table that I created. I'm going to give you a look at this. As I said, you can download this table from my Patreon, okay, as a free tier member. And it basically shows you how to make a monster from 0 level right through to 10th level. I think 0 level is a complete waste of your time, honestly, but I did it. Anything beyond level 10, I think, is completely silly. Like, I wouldn't even bother with them, honestly. There's no way I can define what's going on beyond level 10. I did have a look really carefully, and it doesn't make any sense beyond there. It's hard enough to pin down what's going on here, because you'll notice that the variation is wide, very, very wide. Okay, so let's make a monster, and this is the document that I've been working on with AJ, slowly but surely adding more monsters. And I know it's called here the Prehistoric Giant Jungle Snail, so we probably need to make sure that we're calling it the correct name, which I believe is the Dart Snail. I did a little bit of an update on it too just recently, just to make sure that what do you call it? The description wasn't giving away too much, but it still told you sort of how it works since it's an original monster. And there's nothing wrong with having more lore. Like, just because I've only got 1 or 2 sentences, that's just a starting point. Okay, there's a reason why there's all those questions above. But we're just dealing with the maths today. Okay. All right. So let's go here and start working on this. So the Giant Jungle Dart Snail, I think it's called. There we go, Dart Snail. So a fist-sized snail with a tough spiral-shaped shell. Yep, basically that's what it is. Yep. The snail has a built-in blow dart filled with venom. So it shoots venom at you. So he had decided that he wanted a level 3 monster. Normally what I would do is I would take, if I'm making an original monster, I would take something from the Shadowdark core rulebook as a starting point, but there's really nothing in here as a starting point that I could find. And for me, I assume that the lore behind the monster must stay the same. That there's no, I'm not changing that. If that's what AJ wants, that stays the same. But I wouldn't change the monster level, but anything else potentially could change. Now he's put down alignment neutral, so it's not an evil creature. It's just trying to survive, do its own thing. So for level 3, not challenge rating, for level 3 monsters, we have a table here that shows us level 3. These are the numbers we should be looking at. Between 0 and 4 for our attack. Okay, what does he got? What has he got? He's got a +2. He's decided that a +2 would be a good number to have, which is interesting. I'm not sure that it's necessarily what we're needing to do. So what we'll do is we're going to put in here, he's called it Poison Dart, which is fine. He's got 1 attack. Well, it could be a +2. It really doesn't matter. I think that's not really a big issue. As long as this number here is not lower than the stats for the monster. Now, he did state the stats for the monster was a -3 for strength, which I thought was unusual. Dexterity is -1. Okay. Constitution is a 0. Okay. Intelligence is a -3. Wisdom is a -1. And charisma is a -3. So just very quickly, so that you've got a good idea of how monsters work, if we take level 3 monsters, on the table that's here, that's on my Patreon, if we look at level 3, you'll see that the lowest end of the stat modifier is a -4, and the highest end tends to be a +4. And we're well within that, so that's not a big problem. So I don't think we need to worry too much about that. Okay, so we're going to keep going, so that's all good. Now that we've got those numbers down, he's said that his movement needs to be near for our snail. So this snail moves pretty quick. It's a giant snail, so I guess it's not like a small garden snail or anything like that. It's going to move fairly fast. You can make things move like close. Close is like 5 foot, I guess. Near is about anything between just more than 5 feet and 30 feet. And then our armor class is a 12. Now, normally armor class for a monster is determined by 10 plus your dexterity modifier, which is a -1. So we would normally think this would be a 9, but it's got a shell, so it's got armor. It's got natural armor. That natural armor means that it's going to wind up with a 12. So that's all fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not going to break how it works or how it should work or anything like that. So we're doing fine. All those things can stay. He's got here 1 hit point, and this is probably where the hit points aren't going to work, because in Shadowdark, hit points are really determined by your monster level, and since Shadowdark monsters have a D8 for their hit points, okay, you take the average. So down at the bottom here, you'll notice that there is a formula, but if we look at level 3 monster, and it has here hit points between 12 and 17, with the most common number being a 13. Okay, so that's what we understand is going on with our snail. So what we have to do is we have to do a calculation, and we will. So 4.5 is the average of 8. Multiply that by 3 for the monster level. It's 13. And then we need to add on the constitution modifier. Now there is no constitution modifier, it's 0. So it's just 13.5, which means it becomes 13. Okay, so that is the number that we need to put in here. And that is our hit points. And that would be correct for a level 3 monster. Now, in number of attacks, you can look again on the table, and it will show you level 3 monster, number of attacks between 1 and 2. So he's put down 1 attack, so that's fine. And how much damage? Between 4 and 6 is the a 4-sided dice or a 6-sided dice, something like that. That there again, he's gone and put down here 1 damage. But he's also tied in something else. He's put in here a con modifier, or target takes 2d8 damage and can't move for 1 round. And so what he's not been probably aware is when he's building it, you would tie the damage directly into making the attack. And then you would have the constitution check, the DC 12 constitution check, would be for the poison effect. That's why we have plus poison, okay? So what we'll do is we'll take out this 2d4, and since he wanted to have 2d4 rather than a just one 4-sided dice, he didn't mark it down as a 6-sided dice. We can go as high as a 6-sided dice, so we're going to go 1d6. Okay, and we'll take out this. Now he stipulated that you can't move for 1 round, so it basically paralyzes you so you can't move. It doesn't say that you can't attack though. Okay, so DC 12 Constitution check, or target can't move for 1 round. Okay, so all of that is working perfectly fine now. We're much more in line with what we needed for our monster. A couple of other things I'll explain really quickly so that you understand how it's done, so you can do it yourself. And that is, if we look at level 3 monster, our attack bonus is quite high considering that our modifiers are low, but that's not an issue in Shadowdark. You can do that. It is a thing. It does happen. So don't freak out if that's the case. We can make the snail a little stronger if we really wanted to, but I probably don't think we can make it any faster because it's a snail. Even if it is a big snail, it's not that quick. It's not a Speedy Gonzales snail, basically. Okay, so hit points we've done. Right, armor class. Now, but look, for level 3 monster, we can have anything between an 8 and a 17. We've got a 12. We've already discussed that its normal armor class would be a 9, but because of its natural shell as its armor, it's getting a benefit from that, okay? So we can leave that as is. That's fine. I know there might be the tendency to look at a monster and say, okay, what I need to do is I need to write in beside the armor class in brackets by the 12 natural armor. No, you don't in Shadowdark. You don't have to do that at all. If it's wearing something like chainmail or plate mail or wearing a shield, because it's a humanoid of some kind, then you would include those things into the stat block. But if it's natural like armor, you don't even bother including that. It's just assumed that it's part and parcel of that. Okay, so that's nice and simple. Level 3, moving along here, difficulty class. Anywhere from a 9 to an 18 is possible at level 3. So we have a DC 12, which is not easy. It's about medium difficulty, that one. Which is fine for a level 3 monster. You can have that. It's unusual to have really high modifiers for low level monsters, but they do crop up from time to time. So there is our Giant Jungle Dart Snail done, okay? And it's got all of the basics that we might need. The only thing that maybe we want to change, but I doubt it since he's already statted it out, is maybe the strength is a bit too low. But again, this is not something that I have built mechanically it had started off as AJ Pickett's stat block, and I'm just tidying it up so it fits within the game system. Okay, so there it is. Now, if I can do this, you can do this. Start with the core rule book or the starter set, monster from there, or monsters that are similar to what you want to make, and then use the table that I've created that is on my Patreon to help fill out all of your numbers. You have lots of flexibility. The most important aspects of your monster are actually the number of hit points. Everything else and the amount of damage that it does. And then there's a bit of a range. Those are the most important aspects. A lot of the other aspects, you've got a lot more room to move, so you can go from one side to the other. You don't have to worry about multipliers or subtractors or anything like that. It's a relatively simple process, and you'll get it done. Easy peasy. Before I go, I should have probably also mentioned that I have been part of the creation of a player's expansion for Shadowdark RPG. And this is a document that myself, AJ Pickett, Mitchell Reed, Wally DM, and my brother David Bailey have been part of. We've made that. It's on DriveThru RPG. It's in the description. I would have dropped a link into the chat, but unfortunately I could not pull up the website when I wanted to, so I haven't done so. Okay, so I would go and check that out. It has 10 classes, 17 ancestries. Don't use everything in your game all at once. Pick the things that work for you when you are the game master or dungeon master. Okay, and you shouldn't use every ancestry either. You should just use the things that you think will work for the world that you're playing in. It is not designed to be just a smorgasbord free-for-all. It is designed to give you what you would require for whatever game you're trying to run. And it has a lot of the things, there's only 4 classes in the core rulebook, but you can get a whole lot of other stuff. Now, this monster will go up onto my Patreon for the paid tier, along with a whole bunch of other stuff that I've been making. I'm slowly but surely working my way through all of the monsters that aren't part of the Creative Commons, because the SRD and Creative Commons monsters are in the Shadowdark book, right? But there's a lot of other things that sort of either have IP attached to them, or Wizards of the Coast thinks they have IP on them when they don't. And I'm working my way through those monsters and making them as well. I'm just not doing them in a live stream. I'm trying to focus on the more original stuff, if that makes sense. Okay, so I'll just end this poll. A bit quiet today, but that seems to be the case with these Shadowdark live streams, and they tend to be quite short too. I just go through making one monster rather than multiple monsters, and then we get back next week and do another one. Now, I'm going on holiday, so I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks, so there will be no live streaming and no monster making on a live stream with me for 2 weeks. But I will be back, and we will continue working our way through whatever AJ Pickett is cooked up for us, or whatever he's currently drawn that I can show you, and we can build a monster from. Okay, so there will be more, but there will be at least sort of like a fortnight break until I get back. So a huge thank you to everybody. I really do appreciate it if you were here watching and listening. I want to thank Fred Huber, who is a patron and a moderator, for commenting in the chat. Thank you for taking part in the poll. I'm assuming that is Fred that is voted in the poll. And I want to thank my patrons who support me so I can keep doing this. You're going to keep getting more stuff. Don't worry. I haven't stopped. I may have semi-retired, but I have not stopped making stuff. And I probably won't stop making stuff for a while. I don't know how long that'll be, but who knows? Time will tell. Yeah, all the best with your creations. So whether it's the morning, the afternoon, or the evening, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours. And hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.